There's a moment in every trader's life when the market whispers the truth. But most never hear it. I want you to imagine something with me. You're sitting in front of your charts, the screen glowing, price moving with that strange mixture of violence and elegance only the market can produce. Your heart is steady, but your mind is restless. You're waiting for a sign, any sign that tells you it's finally time to enter. But here's the twist. Most traders enter because they want to trade, not because the market told them to, and that difference is fatal. What I'm about to share with you is what Jesse Livermore called the market's clue, the subtle, almost invisible signal that separates the amateurs from those who actually last long enough to witness consistency. Before we go deeper, I want you to genuinely ask yourself, do I trade because the market speaks, or because my emotions scream? And if you're brave enough, comment your thoughts below. Your own answer might surprise you. Now let me bring you into my world for a moment. The world of a trader who has battled the markets, battled himself, and learned the hard way that the market doesn't reward effort. It only rewards alignment. I remember Livermore describing it in his diary. A man must believe in himself and his judgment if he expects to make a living out of speculation. But here's the part. Most traders skip your judgment must be born from observation, not desire. And that brings us to the heart of today's message, the silent market clue. There is always a point, subtle, quiet, often missed, when the market reveals its true hand. Not with a loud breakout, not with a dramatic crash, but with a shift in character. A tightening, a refusal to go lower, a refusal to go higher, a sudden acceleration, a peculiar stillness. These are my fleeting moments that Livermore built his entire career around. Livermore didn't trade chart patterns. He didn't trade news. He didn't trade based on what he wanted to happen. He traded behavior. He traded the tone of the market, the intention behind the movement, the pressure within the tape. And that's what I want to set up for you today. This documentary is not about some technical indicator. It's not about predicting the future. It's about training your mind to detect the shift, a moment when the market quietly says, "Now, I'm ready." But before you can hear it, you must understand why most traders can't. The psychological blindfold. The truth is uncomfortable. Most traders are deafened by their own impulses. The urge to be in a trade, the fear of missing out, the emotional craving for action, the need for validation, the illusion of control. It's not that they can't see the market's clue, it's that they can't wait for it. Livermore famously said, "The desire for constant action, irrespective of underlying conditions, is responsible for many losses in Wall Street." If you've ever entered too early, if you've ever exited too late, if you've ever felt the market was about to move, but it didn't, then you've lived this truth firsthand. But here's the real beauty. Once you learn to pause, once you learn to observe, once you learn to let the market confirm its intention, you stop chasing trades. Trades begin to come to you, setting the stage for the clue. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the emotional blindness that hides the clue, the behavioral patterns that reveal it, the specific way Livermore interpreted the market's tone, the modern translation for today's traders, and how you can internalize it so deeply that hesitation disappears. Because the great paradox of trading is this: the best trades don't feel urgent. They feel inevitable. Livermore's entire philosophy is built on one core realization: the market is never wrong. Opinions often are. And what we're seeking here is not certainty, but clarity, not prediction, but interpretation, not signals, but confirmation of behavior. By the end of this documentary, you'll understand the difference between looking at the market and listening to it. And when you learn to listen, you will know when not to trade. You will know when the market is preparing something bigger than your imagination. You'll know when the clue appears, and it always appears, with quiet, calmly, patiently. Your job is simply to recognize it. Before we move forward into the next section, I want you to reflect on one question. If you were forced to trade only when the market gives an undeniable clue, how many trades per month would you actually take? Be honest with yourself and share your answer in the comments. Every trader searches for certainty, but the market only offers clues. And it's what you do with those clues that defines your destiny. Before I take you to the emotional close of this journey, I want to bring you into a scene one I've lived, one you've lived, One every trader encounters far more often than they admit. It's the scene where everything becomes quiet, too quiet. The candles stop behaving erratically. Volume begins to compress. And for a brief moment, just a flicker, the market reveals its intention in the smallest of ways. Most traders miss this moment because they're waiting for drama. Livermore, however, taught us to wait for consistency. Now, let me bring all of this full circle. The clue you must not ignore. There is a type of movement in every market, stocks, crypto, forex, futures, that Livermore focused on relentlessly. He called it the line of least resistance. Today, traders call it momentum, trend continuation, supply-demand zone shifts, liquidity grabs, or order flow signals. But in his world, it was simpler. When the path becomes easier in one direction, the market is revealing its hand. That subtle ease, that natural glide, that almost effortless push, that is the market's clue. It is not a breakout. It is not a candlestick pattern. It is the behavior behind the movement. Livermore didn't enter because a level broke. He entered because the pressure behind that break proved itself. Most traders act the moment a level cracks. Livermore acted when the market confirmed it meant business. This distinction is everything. And now, it's time for you to internalize it. The modern translation of Livermore's clue. Let me translate his philosophy into today's market language. The clue appears when the market attempts to reverse and fails. Price tests a level multiple times, and pressure builds. Volume increases without dramatic movement, signaling accumulation. A breakout happens and does not snap back immediately. Liquidity is taken, yet price doesn't collapse the other way. The trend pauses, breathes, compresses, and then continues naturally. These are the whispers. These are the fingerprints. These are the moments when professionals position themselves quietly, while retail traders wait for fireworks. Livermore built fortunes on these small shifts, and he lost fortunes when he ignored them. I want you to think about that with brutal honesty. How many times have you watched a move happen without you, simply because you didn't trust the subtle signs? How many times have you entered too early because you acted on impulse instead of behavior? How many times did the market whisper, "Not yet. Wait," but you convinced yourself otherwise? This is where everything changes, the moment of emotional recognition. Picture this. You're watching a stock climb. It keeps pushing up, rejecting every dip, showing consistent strength. But you're afraid it's too high, so you wait. Hours pass, days pass. The trend continues. And finally, when the move is over, you enter. Why? Because you didn't listen to the clue. You listened to your fear. Livermore said something so brutally true, it almost hurts to repeat. It was never my thinking that made the big money for me. It always was my sitting. But sitting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means waiting with awareness. And awareness is what reveals the clue. This entire documentary boils down to one realization. You do not trade setups. You trade behavior. You trade pressure. You trade intention. You trade the clue. And once you understand this, everything becomes quieter. The noise fades. The anxiety weakens. Your decisions simplify because you are no longer battling the market. You are listening to it. The trader you become when you master this. When you train yourself to wait for the Livermore clue. You stop chasing tops and bottoms. You stop forcing entries. You stop fighting the trend. You stop reacting emotionally. You begin to see the market instead of trying to predict it. You feel calmer. You become more accurate. You gain confidence, not delusion. And here's the emotional transformation few traders ever complete. You stop needing trades. Trades start needing you. That's the moment you'll begin to understand Livermore's world. A world where patience isn't a virtue. It's a weapon. Picture a dark trading room. Just screens. Just candles. Just silence. And in that silence, the market breathes. It expands, contracts, tests, probes, reveals. Every instrument, every stock, every coin, every future is leaving a trail of intention behind its movements. Your job is to recognize the moment when randomness becomes purpose. That moment is the clue. And the clue is your permission. Not before, not after, only Then, because, as Livermore taught us, a man must get right with the market before he can ever hope to profit from it. Before we close, I want to ask you something. I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Will you finally wait for the market's clue? Or will you continue trading noise? Your entire trading future may hinge on your answer. And as you step away from this section, I want you to remember one final truth. The difference between a losing trader and a legendary one is simply this. One trades moments, the other waits for the moment. Wait for the clue. Act with conviction, and let the crowd trade chaos, while you trade clarity.